Jacob, a central figure in the Old Testament, is remembered for his life filled with struggles, transformations, and divine encounters. As the son of Isaac and grandson of Abraham, Jacob was part of a family blessed by God with a promise to become a great nation. However, his journey was not without conflict. From birth, his name, meaning he who grasps the heel or supplanter, foreshadowed a life marked by tensions. His story began in rivalry with his twin brother Esau, as Jacob was born holding Esau's heel. The rivalry between Jacob and Esau intensified over the years. With the help of his mother Rebekah, Jacob deceived his father Isaac into giving him the blessing intended for the firstborn. This act of deception created a rift between the brothers and forced Jacob to flee his home to take refuge with his uncle Laban. In exile, Jacob faced challenges and experiences that shaped his character. One of the most significant moments of his life was his encounter with God at Bethel, where the covenant made with Abraham and Isaac was reaffirmed. His descendants would be as numerous as the dust of the earth. During his time with Laban, Jacob worked tirelessly and experienced the difficulties of being deceived, especially in marriage. Although he deeply loved Rachel, Jacob was compelled to marry Leah, the elder sister, before being allowed to marry Rachel. This episode marked the beginning of a large and complex family that would become the foundation of the 12 tribes of Israel. Jacob's family dynamics were characterized by constant conflicts, yet also moments of reconciliation and spiritual growth. Before continuing with Jacob's story, I want to invite you to subscribe to our channel. Your support helps us continue creating educational content based on the scriptures, and we would love for you to join our community of truth seekers. Click the subscribe button and activate notifications so you never miss an episode. Over time, Jacob demonstrated that he was not only a man defined by struggle but also by transformation. After years of working for Laban, he longed to return home and reconcile with his brother Esau. This desire reflected a profound change in his character. From being a deceiver, Jacob became a man willing to face the consequences of his past actions. On his journey back, he had another encounter with God, this time in the form of a mysterious man with whom he wrestled all night. This struggle symbolized his inner battle to find his identity and place in God's plan. In the end, God blessed him and gave him a new name, Israel, he who struggles with God, sealing his destiny as the father of a nation. The 12 sons of Jacob are more than names in a genealogy. They represent the foundation upon which the tribes of Israel were built. Each son, with his story and personality, helped shape the identity of this family, whose dynamics reflected common human challenges: courage and betrayal, unity and divisions. Jacob had these 12 sons with 4 women, his wives Leah and Rachel, and their maidservants Bilhah and Zilpah. This complex family structure gave rise to rivalries that defined the narrative of their lives. Leah, less loved by Jacob, bore Reuben, Simeon, Levi, Judah, Issachar, and Zebulun. Rachel, the beloved wife, was the mother of Joseph and Benjamin. Bilhah, Rachel's maidservant, bore Dan and Naphtali, while Zilpah, Leah's maidservant, bore Gad and Asher. These 12 men not only represented the physical growth of Israel but also symbolized unique aspects of human character and divine destiny. Each son played an essential role in the development of Israel's collective identity, and their individual stories often reflect universal lessons about the human condition. Reuben, the firstborn, had a privileged position but also a tragic fall. His impulsiveness led him to commit a grave error by defiling his father's bed, costing him his birthright. Despite his noble intention to save Joseph from his brother's plot, his emotional instability disqualified him as a leader. Simeon and Levi, known for their violent temperaments, also lost favor due to the massacre at Shechem, an act of vengeance that dishonored the family. Judah, on the other hand, stood out as a leader and precursor of the royal line that would culminate in the Messiah, Jesus. His story is also marked by an act of intercession when he offered himself as a guarantee to protect his younger brother Benjamin. Joseph, Jacob's favorite son, was sold into slavery by his brothers, but his story is one of redemption and reconciliation. He rose to a position of power in Egypt and eventually reunited his family during a famine. Joseph's ability to forgive his brothers despite their betrayal is a powerful example of grace and faith. His resilience in the face of adversity and trust in God's plan made him a model to follow. Benjamin, the youngest, was fiercely protected by Jacob and played a crucial role in the reconciliation between Joseph and his brothers. Each son, with their virtues and flaws, contributed to the development of the people of Israel. Benjamin, in addition to being a reminder of Jacob's love for Rachel, symbolized hope and restoration within a family fragmented by conflict. His tribe produced brave warriors who were key in many of Israel's battles. Each blessing pronounced over Jacob's sons revealed unique details about their characters and destinies. Reuben was described as unstable as water, a warning about his lack of self-control. Simeon and Levi were criticized for their cruelty, while Judah received a promise of leadership and royalty. Gad was described as a valiant warrior, Asher as a source of abundance, and Issachar as someone willing to work hard. Dan was compared to a cunning serpent, while Naphtali was portrayed as a free deer. Zebulun was blessed with a future in maritime trade, and Joseph was exalted as a fruitful branch. Finally, Benjamin was described as a fierce wolf. The diversity in the characters of Jacob's sons reflected human challenges and virtues, and each played a role in forming a nation destined to fulfill the divine covenant. Their legacy transcends generations, reminding us that God can transform our weaknesses into instruments for His purpose. These stories also highlight how human errors, although significant, can be redeemed through faith and obedience. The symbolism of Jacob's 12 sons is also reflected in biblical theology, where the number 12 represents completeness and order. From the 12 tribes of Israel to the 12 disciples of Jesus and the 12 gates of the New Jerusalem in Revelation, this number connects God's promises with their fulfillment throughout history. The tribes of Israel, for example, became the heart of the fulfillment of God's promises, leading not only in spiritual matters but also as a unified force that marked the beginning of the chosen people's history. Over the centuries, the descendants of Jacob's sons faced significant challenges, from slavery in Egypt to the conquest of the Promised Land. Each tribe, with its particularities, played a unique role in Israel's history. For example, the tribe of Levi, initially criticized for its violence, was redeemed by being consecrated as the priestly tribe, responsible for temple service and spiritual guidance. The tribe of Judah, which led in many battles, became the royal lineage from which King David and eventually Jesus would be born. The impact of Israel's tribes was not limited to biblical times. Their legacy continues to inspire current generations. Their stories remind us of the importance of obedience to God, unity amid diversity, and hope in times of adversity. Each tribe offers lessons about how humans, despite their failures, can participate in God's divine plans. These stories also teach us about the importance of forgiveness and reconciliation, values that remain essential today. The story of Jacob and his sons also highlights the relevance of leadership within a community. Judah, as a natural leader, took on the responsibility of guiding his brothers during crises. This dynamic of leadership was not only crucial for the family's survival but also established a model for future generations of Israel to follow. Throughout history, we see how each tribe developed its own strengths and contributed to unity amid diversity. In addition to their individual roles, Jacob's sons represent a legacy of unity and tension that defined Israel's history. The rivalries that began in their youth were reflected centuries later in intertribal relationships. However, they also demonstrated the ability to overcome differences to achieve common goals, such as when the tribes fought together to conquer the Promised Land. These stories of conflict and reconciliation remain relevant today, teaching us how to manage our own relationships and struggles. Finally, the story of Jacob's sons reminds us that, despite failures and divisions, unity is possible under a greater purpose. God used their imperfections and mistakes to fulfill His divine plan, demonstrating that even in human imperfection, His work can prevail. This message is as relevant today as it was in biblical times. It invites us to reflect on our own lives and consider how our actions, even our failures, can be transformed for a greater good. This challenges us to seek reconciliation, foster unity, and follow a path that honors God. If you enjoyed this journey through the lives of Jacob's sons, don't let it end here. Like this video, share it with others, and subscribe to our channel. Your support allows us to continue exploring these eternal truths and build a community dedicated to studying and living God's Word. Join us on this journey to discover more biblical wisdom that can transform our lives today. Click subscribe and become part of a family seeking to grow in faith and truth, just as Jacob's 12 sons grew into a nation that changed the world.